I do like cooking, but I think the process of deciding what to cook, especially on a daily basis, can be quite daunting and it can feel a little bit overwhelming. So I feel like I'm much more likely to want to cook in the evening based off of one, knowing what I want to make, and two, doing a bit of planning in the day so that I'm not spending 2 hours in the kitchen later on trying to make that dinner. So I thought I would take you along on the process of making such a dinner and thinking about the steps that you could do ahead of time to make it easier on yourself in the evening. So the first thing obviously is to think about what you want to make. Rice last night and my boyfriend took the rest of it for his lunch at his work today, so I figured that he wouldn't want to have rice again tonight, so therefore I wanted to make another grain, so I thought pasta would be a good alternative. And then from there I thought what could be the key ingredient of this dish, and I wanted to incorporate some bell peppers or paprika tonight, so I looked up some recipes of a paprika pasta sauce, and I came across this smoked paprika pasta sauce. So from there on, I thought about what do we have at home that we can use for this dinner, and what can I do now to make it easier later on. So one of the first things I did was, there's some Beyond Meat sausages that we need to eat up, so I took one out of the freezer to let it defrost so we can use it tonight. Then I know we have some leek in the freezer that can also go with this dinner, so I'm going to take that out. And right now I also want to soak some cashew nuts for this dinner to help. Well, soaking it makes it easy to blend, but also gives a bit of a creamier consistency to the pasta sauce. But first, the cashew soaking. I usually try to maybe double or even triple the ingredient list from the recipes that I found. I like to make more so we have leftovers. And then while this is boiling, I'm going to take out some vegetables that can go with this recipe as well, like the leeks. Make the sauce. But for now, one other ingredient that I found that we can use is some red onions. Alright, now I have my ingredients that I'm just going to let defrost and soak for a few hours, and then I'll come back when I'm ready to make the sauce. But for now, I need to go grocery shopping because there are a few items that I do need. There are actually a few more preparation steps that I'm gonna do now before I head to the supermarket and go for a walk. So from the red onions, I separated them. Some that will go with the leeks that I'm just gonna fry up and add to the pasta at the end. And then I also kept some more separate in another bowl, which I'm gonna fry up and then add into the sauce. Then I grabbed another small bowl to which I'm gonna add some lemon zest. And then a tiny bit of miso paste to give it this sort of extra kick, but it's very subtle. It won't taste like miso paste all of a sudden. Now I'm thinking about how I'm going to use all of these, so this one I will fry up, which is why I grabbed another separate bowl, because these don't need to be cooked and these will just be added directly into the blender to make the sauce. And lastly, with the red onions that I will fry up for the sauce, I had some garlic in the freezer as well that I'm just going to finish. Let it defrost a little bit now. Later on I'll fry it up and then it's ready to go in the blender. Alright, I think now I'm finally done with this stage of the preparation phase, and I'll be back to work on the next preparation phase. market a little while ago and I put away all the groceries and now I can continue on with the next phase. I want to add some roasted paprika. First step is to turn the oven, wash the bell peppers, roast them, let them cool off, and then those can be added into the sauce as well. So I'm going to start on with that. I'm letting the oven preheat to 180 degrees Celsius. Next up, I'm going to wash the bell peppers, and I want to add some tomatoes to the pasta as well, but also some for lunch, so I'm going to do that as well. I got my tray ready for the bell peppers to go in the oven, but I'm also in the meantime thinking about dinner ideas for the following days, while I'm already here doing quite a bit of prep work. So I think tomorrow, the day after, I want to make this kind of noodles with a tahini sauce, and I thought bell peppers would also go well with it. So while I'm already chopping the bell pepper, I'm also going to chop some more for that dinner as well. One step done for the dinner that I'll make next. I got my tomatoes here, I just washed them, and since I want to use them for lunch right now, I may as well chop some more for dinner later on. So I did a bit of the prep work. I'm waiting for the oven to be done, but it's around 12:30 now. So I'm getting quite hungry, so I'm going to make some lunch in the meantime, and then I'll continue on afterwards. I was going to put the ciabatta in the toaster, but now that the oven is on, I think it'll taste better with this method. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Actually, while all of that is in the oven, I'll start on with the next phase. Chopping up the mushrooms. I want to add some to the dinner tonight, but also some for that tahini noodles dinner for the next time. So I'm just going to rinse both of these mushrooms and then chop them up, put them aside. And those will be already prepped and ready to use. I could chop all of these by hand, but I want to save a bit of time, so I'm going to pull out the food processor. I should have not crowded this as much as I did, but I don't want these to become too small, so I'm going to take out a few of them so that the bigger chunks can also be chopped up. Ready for tonight. And some more mushrooms ready for the next dinner that I'll cook tomorrow or the day after. So I just finished my lunch. I also tied it up a little bit, and now I want to keep going. So the bell peppers are out of the oven, let them cool down a little bit. And I think next up with the sauce, I want to cook the onions and garlic to sort of give it that flavor. But the food processor is in the way. So I want to first remove this food processor, but I need it for the next step. which is I want to shred some of the Brussels sprouts for that other dinner that I've been mentioning. So I'm going to give this a rinse and then put them in the food processor with the shredding accessory. Then I can put these aside a little, clean the food processor, put it all away, and then this space should be cleared. And so there'll be more space to do the next phase, which is frying up the onions and garlic. Now that's done, I took out the shredder accessory. I'm just gonna install. That was incredibly quick, and now I'm just gonna empty it out into a bigger bowl. I'm going to figure out how to store that away. But for now, I can rinse off some of these bits, these parts. I don't think I'll be needing this food processor anymore, so I can unplug it and put it away. Alright, now that space is cleared, I can move on to the next phase, which was cooking up some of the extra garlic and red onions for the sauce. These are also just little things that I pay attention to as I'm doing such work. I want to use this pan later on for the sausages as well, so by using it now for the onions and the garlic, it saves me from having to wash 2 pans instead of just 1. As that's slowly frying up, I can move on to the next phase, which is the blending phase. Taking out the bigger blender. Okay, so first up, I can finally soak the cashews. Now I'm gonna start off by blending just the cashew nuts first, because typically you want to blend the harder bits first. So that's just a bit easier to break it all down and you don't get those small hard chunks if you were to blend it with everything all at once. Now we have a bit of almond milk left over, so I'm just going to finish this. I need some more milk in there, and now I'm going to open the soy milk. Now usually I would not mix up plant-based milks, but I only put a tiny bit of almond milk, and so I don't think it will affect the taste that much. Okay, that's looking very smooth. So now I can move on to adding in the next few ingredients. So starting off with the paprika, and then the onions and garlic. The miso paste, and the lemon zest. I'm gonna add in a few sun-dried tomatoes. And then add to the spices, tiny bit of cumin powder. Lots of paprika powder. I have some spice paprika and some regular paprika powder. Then a bit of salt. some black pepper. And then to give a bit of a color, a little bit of turmeric powder. And then the final ingredient, some nutritional yeast. I want to add a bit more milk because I think it won't blend enough. Okay, time to blend, and then I'll see afterwards whether I should add some more of something. Putting the paprika in the oven and letting it roast gives a bit of that sweetness kick, so I don't think I need to add any kind of sugar or sweetness to this. Put some more spicy paprika since that is the flavor that I really want it to emulate. And now that is done as well. Very annoyingly to me, I forgot that I wanted to add some cabbage to that dinner as well, to the Brussels sprouts, tahini, noodle dinner, whatever. So I actually brought back the food processor before I wash all of it, and I'm gonna quickly tackle through this step as well. Because as you can see, this all takes quite a bit of prep work, and I'd rather get it all done in one go than to have to pull out the food processor, chop this up, clean the knife, clean the chopping board, clean the food processor, all again tomorrow or the day after. Okay, I think that's chopped enough. Before I start cleaning up a bit more, I just want to see if I can put some of this stuff away. I definitely won't be using all of this Brussels sprouts and the cabbage, so I'm going to first put aside some of it into the freezer from the Brussels sprouts and the cabbage, and then I guess mix up what's left, put that in another Tupperware, put that in the fridge, and then that will be ready to be used for the next dinner as well. Now unfortunately I ran out of these larger reusable Ziploc bags for the freezer. So I cleaned up an old bread bag and I'm going to use that to store this in. And now this can be used for several more dinners in the future. Brussels sprouts are also in here, ready for more dinners in the future. Okay, last up, I can mix up these two. Since I think the Brussels sprouts and the cabbage will have relatively the same cooking time. I'm adding the lid on top, putting this in the fridge, and now this can be ready to be used when I make that dinner. Alright, that took quite a bit of effort, but I was also trying to make 2 dinners at once and also prep some ingredients to put in the freezer to use for other dinners later on in the future. But for now, I have my veggies already chopped up. All I have to do later on is fry these up. I have the sausages defrosting, and I can cook these later on as well. The sauce is already made, and the toppings are also. And the one more thing that I hate about cooking such an elaborate meal like this is the dishes that come with it. So in order to save myself a bit of a headache later on, I'm just gonna pile through and do some of the dishes now already. First off, the strainer, this can be used to drain the pasta, so I'm not going to give it a proper clean just yet. And the last dish is done as well. Okay, so I finally finished all the prep work that I needed for tonight's dinner, but I also did a bit of prep work for the other dinner that I mentioned. So I think for now I'm just gonna rinse this, and then go for a walk, do a workout, take a shower, and then cook the rest of it later tonight.